So I'll be presenting a few trials regarding the today's topic. So first came the tube versus trap study. It had a 5-year follow-up. Its aim was to compare the safety and efficacy of non-valved tube shunt surgery to trabeculectomy with mitomycin C in patients with previous intraocular surgery. It was a multi-center randomized control trial including 17 clinical centers. It had 212 patients, 107 in the tube group, which was bowel glaucoma implant, and 105 in the trap with mitomycin C group, and mitomycin C use was 0.4 milligram per ml for 4 minutes. It included patients with age 18 to 85 years with inadequately controlled glaucoma with IOP more than equal to 18 and less than equal to 40 on maximum medical therapy with previous trabeculectomy, cataract extraction with intraocular lens implantation, or both. There were various exclusion criteria like unable to give consent, unable to randomization, no VL, and other secondary glaucomas, previous cyclodestructive procedures, etc. Follow-up was done for 5 years, and the primary outcome reduction below the baseline on 2 consecutive study visits after 3 months, or IOP less than or equal to 5 mm of mercury on 2 consecutive study visits after 3 months, or reoperation for glaucoma or loss of light perception. The secondary outcome measures were intraocular pressure, visual acuity, use of supplementary medical therapy, surgical complications, visual fields, and quality of life. So coming to the results at 5 years, the failure was significantly high in trap group. It was 50% and similar in both the groups, and qualified success was higher in the tube group. When Kaplan-Meier survival analysis was done, the probability of failure when the cutoff of IOP was taken as 21 millimeters of mercury and 17 and 14 all showed that TRAB had higher failure rate, and TRAB had higher reoperation rate also, which was 29% at 5 years and 9% for tube group. IOP reduction was similar in both the groups, and number of glaucoma medications used at 5 years was also similar in both the groups. The rate of early post-op complications, which was defined as complications till 1 month post-op, was higher for the TRAB group, and late post-op complications were similar, and also the serious complications, which were defined as complications which led to loss of 2 Snellen line of visual acuity, or which led to taking the patient to the OT for surgery. It was also similar for both the groups. So what do we learn from this trial? It is that the rates of failure of TRAB with MMC was 10% per year, 13.5 at 1 year, 30.7 at 3 years, and 46.9% at 5 years. And for tube, it was 5% per year. And the lower failure rate of tube shunt surgery may be due to enrollment of eyes at lower risk of failure than have historically undergone tube shunt surgery and refinement of surgical techniques over time. Those with a history of prior TRAB had already failed one treatment arm. That is, there were patients with already failed TRAB surgery. So this could potentially introduce bias in the favor of the tube group. The IOP lowering was higher for TRAB till 3 months, and it was similar thereafter. And in both the groups, around 60% of the patient had IOP of 14 mm of mercury or less at 5 years. Early post-op complications were significantly more common in TRAB group, but all those were mostly transient and self-limiting. And wound leaks, blood leaks, and dysesthesia were more common in the TRAB group, and the tube group had more of motility disturbances. Hypotony was more frequently seen in the TRAB group. So no significant differences between the 2 surgical procedures were observed in IOP after 3 months, medication use after 2 years, vision loss, and rates of late post-operative complications and serious complications. So this study does not demonstrate clear superiority of one glaucoma operation over the other, and the surgeon's skill and experience with both operations, the patient's willingness to undergo repeat glaucoma surgery, and the surgeon's planned surgical approach should failure occur are important factors that must be considered when selecting a surgical procedure. So after this, the study, because it was done in the previously operated eyes, there came a study called primary tube versus trap study, which was done in patients uh, in which no previous intraocular surgery was done. And it again compared the safety and efficacy of tube shunt surgery and TRAB with mitomycin C. Mitomycin C used here was 0.4 mg per ml for 2 minutes, and age of the patients was 18 to 85, and with inadequately controlled glaucoma with IOP of more than equal to 18 and less than equal to 40 on maximum medical therapy with no previous intraocular surgeries. And there were many exclusion criteria like angle closure cases, narrow anterior chamber angle, and secondary glaucomas, and no PLIs. Then follow-up is supposed to be till 5 years, but we have the outcomes available with us is just till 3 years for now. And the failure was defined similarly as TVT study. And secondary outcome measures were IOP, visual acuity, use of supplement medical therapy, surgical complications, visual fields. And results at 3 years showed that failure rate was similar in both tube and TRAB groups, but the complete success was significantly higher in the TRAB group. And the Kaplan-Meier analysis also showed that similar failure rates were there mostly on all the cutoffs. The IOP reduction was higher for the TRAB group at 3 years, and the number of glaucoma medications used were also less in the it's 3 years. And reoperation rate was similar for both the groups. Early post-op complication was higher for the TRAB, and the late post-op complications were similar for both the groups, and serious complications were also similar for both the groups. So both the procedures were effective in lowering the IOP, and most patients in both treatment groups showed IOP of 14 millimeters of mercury or less at 3 years, and mean IOPs were lower in TRAB group compared with the tube group at all time points, with significantly few glaucoma medications. The rate of failure was 30% at 3 years for TRAB group, which was 10% per year, similar to the TVT study, and it was 39% for the tube group. Overall rates of success were similar, but the rate of complete success was higher in the TRAB group than the tube group, and failure because of persistent hypotony occurred more frequently in the TRAB group, and failure because of glaucoma reoperation was more common in the tube group, and inadequate IOP reduction was the most common reason for failure in both the treatment groups. So the rate of surgical failure of TRAB with MMC was seen to be higher in TVT than in PTVT, which is consistent with the known high risk of TRAB failure in eyes with prior ocular surgery and likely related conjunctival scarring and higher concentrations of inflammatory mediators. And the failure rate of tube shunt implantation was higher in PTVT compared to TVT, which is not expected, but this could be due to different patient characteristics. Coming to the Ahmed-Bauwelt comparison study, it compares the two main prototypes of VAD and non-VAD implants. So it will compare the long-term outcomes and complication of the two types of glaucoma implants, and multi-center randomized control trial, including 16 clinical centers. 276 patients were included, 143 in AGV and 133 in Bauwelt glaucoma implant. The inclusion criteria was patients with 18 to 85 years with adequately controlled IOP on maximum medical therapy, and who had aqueous shunt as a planned surgical procedure, and patient with primary glaucomas with a previous failed TRAB or other intraocular surgery, or secondary glaucomas known to have a higher risk of TRAB failure, such as NVG, uveitic glaucoma, or glaucoma associated with ICE syndrome. Patients with no light perception uveitic glaucoma, prior glaucoma drainage implant, cyclodestructive procedure, and need for a concurrent non-glaucoma surgery with superior scleral buccal, all of them were excluded. The follow-up was till 5 years, and the primary outcome measure again was failure, which was similarly defined. Also, removal of the implant was included in the definition of failure. Secondary outcome measures were again IOP, use of glaucoma medications, visual acuity, and rates of surgical complications, and both had similar failure rates. And the Kaplan-Meier also showed at the cutoff of 14 mm of SG, the AGV had a higher failure rate as compared to Bauwelt. Otherwise, both had similar failure rates, and the cause of failure was inadequate control of IOP or reoperation for AGV, and persistent hypotony explantation and loss of PL for bowel. Reoperation was higher for AGV, and the IOP reduction was significantly more for bowel, and the number of glaucoma medications used was similar in both, and visual acuity also was similar for both at 5 years. So the total IOP reduction was greater than 50% in both treatment groups, and the AGV group had lower mean IOP than the Bauwelt glaucoma implant group at 1 day and 1 week follow-up visits. The mean IOP in the Bauwelt glaucoma implant group was lower than in the AGV group thereafter. The lower IOPs in the Bauwelt group were achieved with fewer glaucoma medications compared with the AGV, and similar rates of surgical success in both the implants were seen at 5 years, but the reason for treatment failure in AGV was high IOP endpoints, and for Bauwelt was safety endpoints like hypotony, implant explantation, and loss of light perception. From 0 to 3 years, the failure rate was 10% per year for both the groups, and from 3 to 5 years, it became 5% per year. So the ABC does not demonstrate clear superiority of one implant over the other. Better long-term IOP control makes Bauwelt preferred implant in patients where we are trying to achieve the lowest possible IOP post-operatively. AGV functions immediate post-operatively, so advantageous in patients with markedly elevated IOP pre-operatively. Also, AGV is preferred in patients at greater risk of post-op hypotony like uveitic glaucoma or patients with prior cyclodestruction. The additional approximately 2 mm of mercury lower IOP obtained with Bauwelt must be weighed against the larger number of safety endpoints in the Bauwelt group compared with the AGV group. Thank you.
Thank you, Priyasha.
Thank you, ma'am.
I'll take a few questions. If anybody wants, I mean, apart from the students, if the consultants want to leave, please do so. The students, if you want to take ask any questions, please go ahead. Maybe another 10 minutes we can carry on.
Shanta, I have a question. There is not much data about this endophthalmitis with the glaucoma drainage implants. Do you know much about it?
Yeah, there have been a couple of publications, but they really compare the infection rate between children and adults. And
that's right.
Children were more prone to infection mainly because of increased risk of tube exposure and the implant exposure because of rubbing of the eye.
That's exactly what that Meena said, actually.
Yeah.
So a tube exposure, but then there's like isolated case reports are there, but not really one study.
Yeah, that's right. And they've also found that the conjunctival erosion is more frequent when multiple surgeries involving the conjunctiva have been done. So those patients, wherever there is going to be a late conjunctival erosion or tube erosion, that eye is going to be at risk for infection. But we've seen infection more frequently in children. I think almost all the infections we've had have been in children. Few adults who had implant exposure and have come with.
Have we ever removed the implant for this infection?
Actually, we have. We have removed the implant for infection.
Sir, I had one experience where the patient had PK and AGV, and she had to go back to Calcutta. So I think after going there, the patient, I don't know, poor hygiene or what, it ended up with endophthalmitis, and Dr. AP had come. So she removed the implant, and then we did the transplant, sir. So she had a fulminant streptococcus pneumoniae infection, sir.
Actually, immediate post-op is really rare. Within the first 2 months, I think I've almost never seen an infection. But this late exposure and infection, especially in children, we have seen.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. And suppose you remove, like what is the fate? Do you have to redo again, or you try any other option to control the IOP then?
Yeah, most of these eyes have poor visual potential. If the IOP goes up, we have done cyclophotocoagulation only.
Okay.
Yeah. No, there are, I mean, in infections, we very rarely perform another procedure, but we have removed implants for other reasons, like repeated conjunctival erosion. We make one attempt to repair the exposed area. Okay. But if repeated attempts are required, then invariably we end up removing the implant. For tube exposure, you can try at least a couple of procedures to cover it. But if the plate is exposed, you have to remove the whole thing.
Okay.
It's not possible to repair that.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
The consultants seem more interested. What about the students and fellows? Okay, we have no other questions. Yeah.
Ma'am, if the patient has good visual potential and the IOP is uncontrolled, but there is history of diode CP done in the eye elsewhere, if there is not much scarring of the conjunctiva, any of the two procedures like TRAB or AGV can be done, or anyone is preferred?
Quite a number of our patients do have cyclodestructive procedures performed prior to the drainage implant. It does increase the risk of hypotony, so we have to be careful. For example, if you decide to use an RD implant or a Barvelt implant, you have to make sure that the tube ligature is really firmly tied. You shouldn't be having any hypotony in the postoperative period. So if previous cyclodestructive procedures have been done, there is a slightly increased risk of hypotony, but we've not really seen it. See, one of the issues with the TVT study was that once a tube implant has been done, it's difficult to perform another surgery. So most of the time, those patients who required reoperation underwent cyclophotocoagulation. Whereas with the TRAB group, they were able to perform either a retrab or another tube. So that's one of the issues if TRAB versus tubes. It's that particular study had lots of things to discuss. We can't go into details here, but please do read those articles if you're interested. Any other questions? If there
Thank you very much. Nice informative class actually. Thank you so much.
Okay, thanks a lot, Pramod. Okay, thank you, Ashna and Priyasha. So there was a nice presentation. Thank you all.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.